This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
And I've been waiting all night for you. Tell me the truth. How do you see yourself? What do I mean to you? We cannot fall inside this cold light. We cannot fall inside. I've been awakened to this.
Following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know that. You know it. It doesn't matter who the host is on any day of the week, and especially on, that Valentine's Day gig that's going on today. Anyways, today's Tuesday, February the 14th of 2023, day 45 of the year, and only 320 days to go. Yep, you heard me correctly there. Anyways, I hope everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods since we last hung out, which was probably about 23 hours ago or so, depending on where you were doing your stuff. We are broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. So don't worry about all that stuff. That's stuff that we have to talk about. So there you go. And we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place that we do stuff at.
Another great hour of freeform radio. Or is it Radio Big?
Yeah, freeform radio, we do what we do. We do the visual radio. We do the call-in radio. Why do we call it visual radio? Why isn't it just some kind of video something? I mean, visual radio. How correct and proper that sounds, right? So anyways, here's what's going on. A lot of stuff today. If you want to hang out, do the thing, talk to the system, callinradio.com is the website to go to. That will get you everything through and everything from that particular standpoint. Also, if you do the social stuff, cool. I love it, blah, blah, blah. I normally don't catch it until the end. That's why I tell you to go to call-in radio. That's the option. If you want to do the visual side of the equation, you're more than welcome on doing that as well. But for those, it becomes a little bit more interesting because then you have to go to Safety FM and click on the section that says Visual Radio, or go to radiobig.fm and click on the section that says Visual Radio. Also, don't forget, this is taking place today's, meaning that it is going on today. This event, if you did not catch it already on Safety FM Plus, the podcast version will be released today. It's the interview that I got to do with Brandon Wiseman from TruckSafe. So there you go. TruckSafe Consulting, just so you know, if you want to take a gander, you can go to Safety FM Plus for that one because it is going on ahora. It is available ahora. And then I guess as we are talking about the equation of things, we got this little event going on coming up. Safety Worlds Collide. Yep, that's what it is. And listen, that was pre the Flash movie, knowing what the hell the Flash movie was going to be called. Just so you know, maybe, matter of fact, let me give you the other graphico here, because I think that this one will let you know that there's some discountos which that's important. I always think the discounts are important. So you can get a discount. Early bird specialing going on right now. All you have to do is go to safetyfm.io. If you're watching on the screen arena, all you have to do is scan the QR code. Brett Sutton will be there talking about learning teams, and Sam Goodman, always a good time talking to him, having conversations with him. And you will never know what the hell is going on in the world of the hop nerd because he is always going full force. So who the hell knows what he'll be talking about at that time. But that's the way to look at it. He's always trying to keep things entertaining, and that is what is going on there. Event going down in Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, Phoenix, Arizona. That's where it's going down. So just so you know. Anyways, let's get into what's going on with the show today. What is the information? If you're not familiar with this show, the way that it goes is something like this. We talk about safety in the news and safety, and then we go from there. So let's tell you what's coming along today.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so what we saw in the overnight and things that will be happening during the show today. Even the Oscar Mayer Wintermobile has car trouble, so that will be on the hit list. The 2024 presidential race gains another steam with big expected announcement and another high-profile senator joining the fray. Walter White Tidy Whitey's hit the auction block. Why would anybody want that? We can talk about that. And then SNL alum Tina Fey and Amy Poehler are heading out on a comedy tour. We can talk about that if you want to have all those discussions. We can go from there and discuss away what is going on inside of that particular world. So anyways, let's bring in some professional newscasters. They'll tell you what the hell is going on with this world, and then we will go from there. I think that's the best way to do it.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. The suspect who opened fire, killing 3 people and critically wounding 5 others on the campus of Michigan State University is dead. MSU Police Interim Deputy Chief Chris Rossman held a news conference overnight.
That suspect is a 43-year-old male, not affiliated in any way with Michigan State University.
Officials say he took his own life as he was approached by police not far from where Monday's shootings occurred. A significant portion of the payload from a Chinese spy balloon that was shot down earlier this month is being recovered. More from Brian Shook.
That's according to a U.S. official who on Monday noted that a crane lifted the equipment from waters off South Carolina. The payload measured as much as 30 feet long and included all of the craft's tech gear and antennas. Search and recovery efforts had been stopped late last week due to bad weather and rough seas. The surveillance balloon was shot down by the U.S. military after it flew across the country for several days. I'm Brian Shook.
As many as 26 states are under snow and wind alerts as a pair of storm systems move across the country. Meteorologists say the first storm could bring a foot of snow to parts of Colorado, Oregon, and Washington. Areas west of the Rockies are already under a winter storm watch. A second storm is expected to bring severe weather from the south to the Ohio Valley. The region will likely see heavy thunderstorms and rain beginning Wednesday and Thursday. Changes to school nutrition programs that push more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains saw a reduction in the body mass indexes in kids and teens. That's according to a new study out by JAMA Pediatrics that followed kids between the ages of 5 and 18 between 2005 and 2020. Previous research had indicated that school meals were linked to childhood obesity before stricter guidelines were introduced. And the death toll from the devastating earthquakes that struck Turkey and Syria is now more than 37,000. The vast majority of those deaths are in Turkey. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Feature story news in Rome. I'm Ollie Barrett. The US military's recovered the sensors from a suspected Chinese spy balloon which was shot down. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has approved the use of 2 additional border crossings to deliver UN quake aid. A Russian warship docked in South Africa ahead of joint naval drills with South Africa and China, and India is set to receive its second tranche of African cheetahs for attempts to reintroduce it into the wild.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy will lead a congressional delegation to the southern border in Arizona. Lisa Taylor reports.
He's bringing a group of first-term Republican lawmakers to the Border Patrol's Tucson sector, and they'll receive an aerial tour from Customs and Border Protection. McCarthy has emphasized border security as part of his agenda for the new House Republican majority. He also called on the Homeland Security Secretary to resign over his handling of the border. I'm Lisa Taylor.
One Democratic senator wants federal rules to limit the extra fees charged by some airlines. Ed Markey of Massachusetts is reintroducing the Families Fly Together Act. The bill would stop airlines from charging seat selection fees to parents traveling with their children. The intent is to allow families to be seated together without paying higher prices. One of the stars of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is fighting the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints over a trademark request. Michael Kastner explains.
Heather Gay has asked for a trademark on the term Bad Mormon, which is the title of a book she's written about her life. She wants to use the phrase on merchandise, but the church has filed a challenge to her application for the trademark. They say her use of the phrase could cause harm to the reputation of the church and its trademarks, which includes the words Mormon, Book of Mormon, and Mormon.org. Jack Mormon is a term used to describe a member not adhering strictly to Mormon principles. That trademark is held by a Utah coffee company. I'm Michael Kastner.
Former child actor Austin Majors is reportedly dead from a drug overdose in Los Angeles. Several outlets say the 27-year-old who starred in NYPD Blue died from fentanyl. TMZ reports he died over the weekend while staying at an LA homeless facility. And the Super Bowl champion Chiefs are back in Kansas City. They returned Monday with the Lombardi Trophy in hand after knocking off the Philadelphia Eagles in Arizona. Kansas City will honor its home team with the Chiefs Kingdom Champions Parade through downtown on Wednesday. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Radio. USA, Canada, UK.
Okay, there you go. 16 minutes past the top of the hour as we are hanging out on this glorious Valentine's Day. So I guess if you're looking around and talking and trying to figure out what might be your next step, maybe I should ask this all-important question. You want to get paid to smoke a whole lot of weed? Yeah, that would be that awkward silence after you hear that question aloud. Yeah, a German-based company called Canna Medical is looking to pay a cannabis sommelier up to $142,000 a year to work with growers in cannabis around the world, sampling various strains of the company's curated profile of its offerings. The company sells directly to pharmaceutical companies, but Germany recently adopted a plan to legalize possession of marijuana in small quantities in some time next year. So $142,000 to sit around and smoke some weed. Now, listen, I know some people are going to be out there taking a listen to this and going, what the hell's going on this morning? I know. That would be my question, too. But I thought that was a weird offering that was out there. And I said, guess what? I'm going to talk about it.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so last December, news broke of about a close call event during a flight from Maui to San Francisco when a plane suddenly nosedived during takeoff in inclement weather. Now flight data reveals that it was just that the plane had reached 2,200 feet. It descended at the rate of 8,600 feet per minute and flew below the 775 feet before recovering. The climbing is at a similar speed, and the sudden acceleration created an environment of 2.7 times the force of gravity inside the aircraft. While harrowing, the entire incident took place no longer than 45 seconds and ultimately landed about half an hour ahead of schedule. You know, how do you have that conversation after that? You're in a plane, it takes a nosedive, you had these terrible gravity pulls that took place, and then you just kind of go, oh, guess we're just going like normal. I mean, just think about that. That's a lot of stuff going on. Anyways, take a listen to this. Stealing parts of a car is a good way for criminals to make quick cash. Even if it's they're ripping off the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. You got to take a listen to this. Well, in Las Vegas last week, the iconic vehicle had to go in for service after the catalytic converter was stolen and the shop temporarily sealed up the space where the converter had been cut. The Wienermobile was able to complete the weekend events, but just think about that. That was going down because somebody stole the catalytic converter from the Wienermobile. Not exactly what you probably expected as the news story to go, but that's just what happened. So there you go. Anyways, a mouse named Patrick Stewart has been certified as the oldest mouse ever recorded in 9 years, 210 days as of last Thursday. Patrick the mouse beats the last record by nearly 2 whole years and has lived in captivity in San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Zoo Safari Park, because that's not confusing. The mouse breed typically only lives about a year or two in the wild and up to 6 in captivity. So there you go. There's the Guinness Book of World Records. Anyway, so it is Tuesday, so let's talk about this because how would we make it a day without talking about this? Let's talk about the top 5 songs according to the charts inside of Apple iTunes and on Spotify. Coming in at iTunes at number 5 is Linkin Park Lost. At number 4 is Rihanna Diamonds. At number 3, Rihanna Only Girl. Number 2, Rihanna and Jay-Z Umbrella, Ella. And at number 1 is Miley Cyrus with Flowers. If you take a look at the other side of the equation, according to Spotify, at number 5 is Kid Laroi with Love Again. At number 4 is Pink Panthers and Ice Spice with Boys Are a Liar Part 2. I would like to know about Part 1. Number 3 is Rye with Escapism. And number 2 is Zoc with Kill Bill. And at the number 1 spot on this side of the equation as well, that's going to be Miley Cyrus with Flowers. Apparently, I need to take a listen to the song again Because I remember hearing it the first time and I had some questions. This is kind of the way that it worked out. So I don't know. Maybe I missed something there and I just didn't quite get it the first time. So there you go. Anyways, I think it's time to bring some John Smalls inside of here and make our life a little bit better and find out what the hell is going on inside of the world of the market.
Minute for Tuesday, February 14th, 2023. Equity markets advance Monday in hopes the CPI data will confirm the cooling of inflation. The risk for investors is that it will come in hotter than expected and prove the FOMC right to sound so hawkish. Even if the CPI comes in as expected, it calls for a 5.4% increase in core consumer inflation versus last year, which is no reason to think the FOMC will back off its policy stance soon. The most significant risk for the market, as always, is the earnings outlook. The S&P 500 earnings growth outlook continues to deteriorate and may soon turn negative for the year. In this scenario, U.S. businesses are already in an earnings recession, which could linger until the end of the year. The good news is that this year's decline will set the market up for a return to growth in 2024, but that assumes the FOMC will start lowering rates by then. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, thank you, John Smalls, for the information. Let me tell you a little bit of what I was able to find. The Dow added about 376 points to close at 34,245. The S&P added about 46 points to close at 4,137, while the NASDAQ added about 173 points to close at 11,891. West Texas Intermediate closed at about $79 a barrel, and Brent crude was about $85. The national average price of a gallon of gas was at, $3.41 on Monday. Bitcoin slid a little bit on trading around $21,600, and there was more than 2,838 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Monday. And more than, more than 50 cancellations, but I don't have the full number, so it's right around 50 is what I'm showing in that particular regards. Tonight's Mega Million drawing will be for $67 million jackpot or a $35.1 million cash payout. So there you go. Some stuff to think about if you are intrigued about what the hell is going on over there. That is for sure. So what do you think? A lot of stuff going on is the way that it kind of the world goes as we are talking about all of this stuff. So anything good planned for today? Because listen, it is Valentine's Day, so I would recommend strongly if you got no planzos that you make something up real quick as we are going. And let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about this year with the spending that's taking place inside of the day of Valentine's. Americans are expected to spend nearly $26 billion on Valentine's Day this year. Trey Thomas has some more info.
That's one of the highest amounts to date, up from nearly $24 billion last year. The National Retail Federation estimates that shoppers will spend an average of just over $192 per person on gifts. I'm Trey Thomas.
So what are you spending this year on gifts on Valentine's Day? Is it a big thing for you? You know, I have to tell you, I thought it was kind of interesting. I was talking to a company recently, and they were telling me on how big they are in regards of how they value their people and work time, life balance and all that stuff. And then they tell me that they're going to have an event that they're putting on Valentine's Day. I was kind of confused on that because it was like, okay, you're having an event that people have to travel to, but I guess everybody does their own thing. And I get it. You have to do what you think is right. Anyways, talking about Valentine's Day, take a listen to this. Be prepared to spend more this year if you plan to buy flowers for your Valentine's. Rebecca Hughes has more.
Inflation hits Valentine's Day with the price of roses rising, according to one Virginia florist. Jennifer Mata owns Catherine's Flower and Gift Shop in Lynchburg, and she tells WSET the shipping cost for flowers rose so high she had to hike her prices. She says the cost of a dozen roses increased over the past years from around $80 in 2021 to nearly $100 this year, although even with a higher price, Mata says she expects business to be booming with more than 250 orders already on the books. She says customers can save money and help local florists by ordering straight from them rather than through a third party like FTD or flowers.com. I'm Rebecca Hughes.
Wow, Rebecca, you went brand specific there, but I guess if somebody else is telling you that, you have to go with that particular angle. But geez, That's cutting it close. Anyways, let's see. I guess I feel a little swampy today, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's bring you what's going on in today's politics.
Which recently floated across the nation may have been listening in on American Conversations. Senator John Cornyn says this should be a wake-up call.
The Chinese Communist Party are not only stealing secrets, but threatening our national security.
The Texas Republican blasted the Biden administration for not shooting down the first balloon earlier like he did the others. He asserted that the balloon can take more accurate photographs than a satellite. A salvage of the Chinese spy balloon shot down earlier this month has recovered big chunks of payload. That's according to a U.S. official who on Monday noted that a crane lifted the equipment from waters off South Carolina. Meanwhile, crews are working to recover debris from the high-altitude objects that were shot down over Alaska, Canada, and Michigan over the weekend. And Americans expect income growth to slow and inflation to stay high. That's according to the Federal Reserve's latest survey of consumer expectations. The survey found Americans believe inflation over the next year is going to hold steady at 5%. That's politics. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Okay, thank you, Mark Mayfield. Are you glad that you got some stuff right there in regards that we could talk about that was going on in the world of politics? Hey, I never know. I just always want to ask that question. Anyways, 3 EMTs at the Memphis Fire Department who were relieved of their duty after the fatal police beating of Tyler Nichols are appealing their termination. Take a listen to this.
3 responded to the traffic stop last month, and they were accused of failing to make an adequate assessment of Nichols, who was in distress. The EMTs say they weren't given adequate information when they were dispatched. I'm Mark Mayfield.
So there you go, some information right there. We'll see what takes place. Of course, we'll continue to talk about it. Always good to know what the hell's going on, and it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening with that case in particular. Take a listen to this. Police are investigating 2 incidents involving guns at a New York City school. Lisa Salvatore has more.
18-year-old pulled a gun on a 17-year-old fellow student at high school M560 City School in the West Village Monday at around noon. The New York Post reports a half hour later, someone shot out 2 classroom windows at PS 78 on Staten Island. One of the classrooms had 10 adults inside and the other one was unoccupied. No one was injured. Lisa Salvati, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, there you go. Appreciate the information, letting us know what the hell's going on. Interesting world out there as we are talking. This one's coming out of Michigan. Grand Rapids will hold 3 events to the public input for the city's new master plan. The city is working with the consulting firm planning next on the plan. The director, Sarah Bongiano, says that one challenge they'll have to focus on is on housing.
Another 18 months to really realize what those ideas could be in the community master plan process. But we're really looking forward to people hearing what's on people's minds and hearing their ideas.
She says they want to know what people think about the housing is needed, and then they will hold 3 Bridge to Our Future events. Those will take place on February the 21st at Grand Rapids Public School University, February the 22nd at Union High School, and February 23rd at Alger Middle School, with all three being held between 5 and 7 p.m. So there you go. Planning Next director says that they want the public input for the housing.
And ask folks is, where could the city, where should we put some more housing and what could it might look like? What are people's ideas? What do they need?
So makes it interesting as we are talking. Take a listen to this one. This one's actually coming out of Michigan as well. A woman is suing the city of Detroit and the Detroit Police Department for killing her dog while chasing someone on her property. Tiffany Lindsay says that her dog Jack was shot and killed, and then the police dumped the dog's body in the trash next door and says that they were trying to hide it.
They didn't knock on my door and say nothing. That was my protector. That was my best friend. He was an emotional support dog.
Tiffany Lindsay is suing the city of Detroit and the Detroit Police Department for the death of her dog, who was dumped in the trash next door.
So you were trying to hide it. That's Detroit.
I mean, that gets kind of weird. I mean, I don't even know where to start that combo. It's like, okay, hold on. So you killed the dog, and then you try to hide it. It's kind of a weird one. Take a listen to this. An Oxford high school shooting survivors among the students at Michigan State University terrorized by a mass shooting last night. Andrea Ferguson says that her daughter has only been on campus for less than a month and says that her family never expected to experience 2 school shootings.
Reliving Oxford all over again. It was surreal. It was the phone call, the word shooting, shooter. It was surreal.
She says her daughter was across the campus getting onto the bus when she began getting texts about the shooter. Ferguson said that it's really, really surreal to have to worry about this and know exactly what to do. Andrea Ferguson of Oxford says that her daughter, who survived the Oxford High School shooting and is now in the Michigan Student University shooting.
This week we're celebrating her being 10 years cancer-free, so supposed to be a celebratory time.
So a lot of stuff going on right there. Listen, as the fellow Spartans that are out there, I don't know what to say. You listen to these things and what is going on, and you never know what to say, especially when it's a cool school that you're actually has some kind of intertwinedness with. So you kind of look at it and go, wow, what a weird world that we live in. But listen, I don't ever want to take away from any of the other shootings or things that we get to see that are going on, because we don't ever want to take away from that at all whatsoever. Anyways, right now we're so close to that 32-minute mark that I think we should go ahead and start doing it now. And let's talk a little bit about our main story, because I think that that's going to be important to talk about. So let's go ahead and do that right now.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Listen, I don't know what to tell you. I do this thing that I get to do and hang out with you, which I always think is important. It's probably the most important thing that I get to do in my day, as we get to hang out and talk about what's going on in our little world. We get to talk about what's going on inside of the world of safety. We get to talk about, what's going on inside of the world of news. We get to talk a little bit about everything. And sometimes you have to sit back and take a lot of the stuff that you do and that I do for work with a grain of salt. Think about the impact that some of the stuff that you do and I do for work on how it would affect our mental health if all we did was focus on what is going on. Because to an extent, when you take a look at this, you have to take the good, the bad, and the ugly with everything. And somebody told me this a while ago, and I heard it, and I was like, it makes sense. But if you do the work of safety to an extent, you're in the misery business. Things are not perfect. Things are not great. And things are not what you always want them to be. There's always work that needs to be done, work that needs to be performed, and work that needs to move accordingly. As I heard that and looked into it and thought about it some more, it made a lot of sense. And I know there's some times that you wake up and you think about the work that you do and you truly love what you do. And to an extent, the work that you do, you don't understand at times on why it is not appreciated by others. I get it. It makes sense to me. There is no doubts to me when we start having these conversations on why our world is so weird. And listen, I understand the work that you do is not perfect. The work that I do is not perfect. And perfection has never been part of it. But I always look at it and go, how could we better ourselves and help inform other people on what might be good case scenarios that are going on inside of your work environment? And don't worry, I'm not going to tell you another survey, because that seems to be the popular answer by some. So I don't think your job needs another survey. I don't think you need to write another survey. But the more that I get to hang around with people, the more I get to learn, the more I get to do stuff that I don't normally think that I would be doing. But when was the last time you spoke with people and allowed them to tell you what they thought was wrong? And I'm not talking about this world change event, about what they think is wrong, what they think that things are going on with the world. I'm talking about inside of your organization. I never have looked at what we do for work as a popularity contest, which I think some people do. Like yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak with someone, And they're telling me on how they want to do these things for the greater good of the world. How the next thing that they want to put out into the market, it's not about the money that they make. It's not about what they're able to do. It's about changing the life of one person. And it's about saving one person. Listen, I get all that. I understand you saying that. It makes sense to say it. It makes sense to believe it. But unfortunately, when you say that to people, it comes across awfully salesy. And you can put an emotion behind it, but most of the time, when people are related to anything with safety, it's kind of like an emotional event that lasts up to 6 weeks if you don't put anything with substance behind it. So there's a lot of things to think about. There's a lot of things to do. And there's a lot of things to consider all at the same time. So I don't know. I look at this and go, what can you do today that will have an impact on your organization that will not change it just for you today, but it will change it for the future of what's going on? If you think about it in that fashion, what do you think would have the most impact? Listen, it's great that today's Valentine's Day. It's great that everybody wants to talk about their love today and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to show true value and if you want to show a level of love to people, do that. Go out there and show them on how you can change the world by just doing some simple steps to help change things inside of your organization. By just asking that simple question, what do you think needs to be improved? Boy, could that question get you pretty far today. Think about it in that fashion. Seriously.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobile.io. That's mobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello.
Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
As your safety training, it's stale and hacky. Safety trainers still preaching a warped version. How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Polzer at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
I've been waiting all night to catch my breath. It's just the sound of your heart, you know you got me surprised. I know that it can be hard, but when I look in your eyes, I wanna feel you like it's the first time.
Okay, this still is the Rated R Safety Show.
Inside this cold
So, you know, love is in the air today. Yeah, they say that. I figured I could say it too. Okay, this song right here is titled, What Do I Mean to You? This song is by Roar. Readily available on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube Music. You want to give it a little down-lousy, loungy? Thanks for Roar for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. So let's get into it. Let's get into what is going on inside of the world of the multiverse, because I think it's going to be important to give a little toxo-oxo of what is happening. There is no doubt about that. What else would we be doing? I mean, seriously, let's give that some consideration. So taking a look around, let's talk about the most important thing that I will tell you in my lifetime. So let's get into this right now. That's about my friends at 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They can help provide, or they can help prevent suicide. The Lifeline provides 24/7 free and confidential support for people in distress, prevention, and crisis resources for you and your loved ones, and best practices for professionals in the United States. Find out more information. All you have to do is go to 988lifeline.org. That's 988lifeline.org. Text the word TALK to 988 or call 988. That will get everything moving and grooving for you if you're so inclined to do so. Listen, I know life is difficult at times, and sometimes we all need someone to talk to. And listen, when we get into these weird holidays like this, I get it as well. So if you're going through some mental distress, call 988. Text the word 988 or just go to 988lifeline.org. All kinds of different options as we are talking, that is for sure. So let's get into some news because we still have some news stories to cover. Let's talk about Volkswagen. Yeah, Volkswagen. Yes, one of the biggest knocks of electric vehicles is the length of time it takes to charge them. Unlike the quick 5-minute stop at the gas station powered a car, the EV battery can be plugged into a regular outlet at home all night and still not be fully charged in the morning. But that might be about to change. A team from the University of California says that it has come up with an electric car battery that charges in 1 hour. It's long, a technical explanation, so I won't bore you with that data, but that researchers say that the fast charging battery will be cheaper to produce and more powerful, allowing for vehicles with smaller batteries as it is more sustainable
for the environment. Current EVs also require raw materials that are already facing supply chain issues. Sounds positive, doesn't it? So just some stuff to think about. I mean, I don't know. What do you think about all this stuff? Because listen, I'm going to tell you, if this is going to be the future of, electric cars, let's not even get into self-driving cars because I think that that's a whole other conversation. But if this is going to be the future, it has to be comparable to what's going on. If I can go to the gas station and have my car filled up in 5 minutes or less, which is normally what it is, I can't go somewhere and wait 20 or 30 minutes. And listen, I understand that there's a supercharging network available and all that kind of fun stuff. But still, if you think about it, 20 minutes at the gas station or the fuel up station or the charge station, and it's not busy, that's still a long period of time. So if we're talking about an hour, listen, I know it's better than an overnight type of thing, but it's still an hour. So think about this. Oh, you're driving, you realize your car didn't charge overnight, and you have to go somewhere to charge the car. You're already realizing that you're not going to make it in time to work. We'll use that as an example. And now you have to pull over and wait for up to an hour for the charge to occur. You see how weird that gets? It's definitely an interesting conversation on how you're going to do that. Anyways, let's talk about some other things. Let's talk about body language, because I think that this has become a thing that we don't talk a lot about. And I was able to find this, and I said, hey, let's talk about it. Having a limp handshake might be a sign of an early death, according to a new study from researchers at the University of Michigan. The study links a grip strength to a higher risk of age-related chronic disease, including cancer. The researchers found that having a weak grip could be a sign of overall muscle weakness. A known factor for many degenerative diseases. I don't call my grip weak, but you should consider myself to be really, really relaxed. I remember those death grip handshakes that people used to do when I was much younger, which I never understood the whole point, but I wonder if they had an early version of this thing. Something to think about. Anyway, scientists say that men may be able to tell whether or not they will someday go bald by looking at the length of their fingernails. In a study conducted in Taiwan, men who had been diagnosed with let's say male pattern baldness, researchers found that the male baldness is about 6 times more likely to occur if the man's ring finger is considered longer than his index finger. Interesting. The scientists believe that the longer the ring finger may be a sign of the higher testosterone exposure that occurred within the womb. Of course, up till now, the only reliable indicator of the future baldness is that it keeps taking longer and longer to wash your face. That would be a good sign. I mean, I don't know. I tell people that ask me, why do I shave my head? Well, I started doing this ballpark around 16 years of age, but continuously did it since I was the age of 18. And now that I tell people that I originally started doing this by choice, I don't really think that choice is much of a thing now.
It's this show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
Hey, it might be kind of stupid, but it's kind of honest at the same time, too. Take a listen to this real quick. This is coming in fresh right now. Fire officials are investigating whether a lithium-ion battery that is behind the blaze of Brooklyn earlier this morning. Chief John Esposito says that the fire started around 1:30 a.m., seriously injuring a woman. Take a listen.
Like a couple of bikes and scooters. The batteries were attached. We're not sure if that was the cause of the fire or not, but there were several of them.
Yesterday, the fire commissioner asked the federal government to do more to regulate lithium-ion batteries following hundreds of fires involving in the city. So there you go, some stuff going on right there. Take a listen to this real quick. A tree trimmer is dead after one job accident while working near Chula Vista Gold Course yesterday. This is actually coming out of California. Yesterday morning, the 39-year-old man was working to remove some palm trees from the top of the tree when he fell when they fell on top of him.
Past with these palm fronds falling on the tree trimmers.
The Chula Vista Fire Department Chief Tim Mayer, the accident happened around 11:30 a.m. in front of a home at the, well, we don't have to mention where it was. When EMS got there, the scene, the victim's co-workers were trying to free him from the leaves that pinned him against the tree. Tree 50 above the feet above the ground. It took about an hour and a half for an effort to free him, but he died on the scene. The victim's name has been withheld while they were notifying the family. Mayor says the tree trimming can be dangerous in palm frowns, a fall, and working as a tree trimmer.
It is something that is relatively unique to certain types of palm trees.
Well, also the other side too. This we've said this for years that tree trimming is probably one of the most dangerous jobs out there. We've talked about this for years because on how the things are actually looked on. I know that Todd Conklin has a lot of great episodes talking about the tree trimming industry and how some of those things do tend to work out. Anyways, let's take a look. I think it's time to bring some John Smalls in here and let him tell you about what the hell is going on with the Motivation Minute, because I feel like we need some motivation.
Today's Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. Today's quote was submitted by Mariah. J. Mike Fields said, "The way you speak to yourself matters. Talk to yourself like someone you love." What a great quote. Sometimes we struggle to understand how important that is, too. You can't really love anyone else properly if you don't first love yourself. Now, you don't need to be infatuated. That's probably a bit too much. But a healthy dose of love for yourself. The good things and the areas you need to improve. Love yourself, and those areas may just improve as well. This is the time of year we think about love quite a bit, so remember to love one another, but also remember to love yourself. No Valentine's Day card needed for that. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Your Wellness Minute is brought to you by AlyssaMorgan.com. There are very few things as strongly congruent as the fact that exercise is imperative for the brain. A 2018 study shows that even just 10 minutes of mild exercise strengthens connections and communication between memory-focused parts of the brain in healthy young adults. After 10 minutes of light exercise, high-resolution functional magnetic resonance imaging showed better connectivity between the hippocampal part and cortical areas of the brain linked to detailed memory processing. The magnitude of the enhanced functional connectivity also predicts the extent of memory improvement, suggesting that even light exercise, even just for 10 minutes, is imperative for cognition, focus, and a retention of new information. For more information on wellness, check out AlyssaMorgan.com.
Another pitfall of our society. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, I guess now we're pitfalling when it comes to certain things in our society. Wow, that's an interesting one as we are talking. Anyways, let's talk real quick about some other things that are going on. Howard County Executive Calvin Ball joined the state and county leaders on Monday to open the Quaker Mills flood mitigation pond at Rogers Avenue. Take a listen to this. This is coming out of Maryland.
A dry pond that'll hold water and it'll make sure that it won't get to Ellicott City too fast and too dangerously.
The $3 million project is the second retention pond to open as part of the Ellicott City Safe and Sound Plan that was enacted after a major flood that hit the city back in 2016 and 2018. Officials say that the pond can hold up to, 3.3 million gallons of runoff, which is enough to cover the area size of a football field with 7.5 feet of water. Ellicott City shop owner says that the other businesses are glad that the flood mitigation plans are continuing.
That pond represents hope, it represents progress, and it represents the beginning of the remaining journey that we have.
So let's see, the pond represents hope. That's interesting. Never heard that one before, but there you go. There you go. Some stuff going on right there as we are speaking. Anyways, keep in mind that today is Valentine's Day, so if you have not went out and done the things that you need to do, you might want to give some consideration there of what is going on. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. If you don't remember, think about this. Last year, 2022, protesters in Canada defy COVID mitigation efforts. Truckers had shut down multiple border crossings between the United States and Canada over the previous weekend. The Ambassador Bridge connecting Detroit and Canada was entirely blockaded, as well as another nearby route in the area. Crossings in Montana and North Dakota were also blockaded. A fifth group gridlocked the border crossing at the Pacific Northwest near Vancouver in Northwest Washington State. Yeah, that was all last year, if you don't remember that. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today. Becky Hill turns 29. Paul Butcher, 29. Shane Harper, 30. Kristen Erickson and Freddie Highmore turns 31. Carol G turns 32. Angie DeMaria turns 35. Justina Valentina turns 36. Tiffany Thornton turns 37. Rob Thomas, yes, from Maxbox 20, turns 51. Phil Lewis turns 55. Teller, yeah, from Penn & Teller, he turns 75 today. And Carl Beinstein turns 79. And Michael Bloomberg, he turns 81 today. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those for you if you're so inclined to take a listen. It's International Book Giving Day, National Cream-Filled Chocolates Day, National Ferris Wheel Day, Pet Theft Awareness Day, National Organ Donor Day, and Extraterrestrial Culture Day. And last but not least, it's Valentine's Day, just in case if you forgot and needed a reminder for the 50 billionth time today. There you go. Anyways, at the top of the hour, I will be going over to RadioBig.fm exclusively for the next couple hours or so. I'm doing some stuff with the world of music, and I'm sure we'll be talking about Valentine's Day because that's what we'll do. Maybe we'll do some kind of love soundtrack. Who the hell knows? So if you want to come out, hang out, you're more than welcome on coming over there and taking a listen on what the hell is going on. Or if not, you can keep it locked here on Safety FM, which the Safety Consultant podcast / radio show will be coming up next. So there you go. Some stuff to give some consideration to. If you do need a random joke today, I do have one of those for you. Love is blind. Marriage is the eye-opener. If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What was it that made you realize that your Valentine's was a keeper? A keeper, not the gift, the Valentine's itself. And let me give you two questions for the water cooler today. Two different ones, of course. In a survey, 44% of women indicated they'd like to receive this inexpensive item for Valentine's Day. What is it? A handwritten love letter. Here's another question for you. About 25 million people in the U.S. alone will buy this for Valentine's Day. What is it? A pet. They will give you a pet as a gift. Is that really what you want? A pet as a gift? I mean, I guess that's something you could do if you wanted to. But there you go. That's what it is. Anyways, that's going to sum up our time together. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it makes no sense to do what we do around here. That is for sure. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. Love is that condition in which the happiness of another person is essential to yours. Think about that. It'll get you to places that you never thought about. Anyways, think about this. I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye. Happy Valentine's Day, and we'll speak soon.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.